We're being joined by Carol Noonan in a second, and we're all getting very excited here because it's extremely important what's going on. And rather than do this thing as an edit and all that, we're just getting it, just doing it live. And there we are. Carol, how are you doing?
Hi, Miles. It's really good to see you again.
Great.
How have you been?
Stressed, worked out, beginning to realize that we are absolutely conned. The Irish have woken up. They've got a thing called the Irish Freedom Party. And I was actually talking to them only a few minutes ago. I don't know if we're live or not. Oh, there we are. And, well, I was trying to talk to them a few minutes ago. And in Ireland, they've actually woken up because the professors and people who are realizing that RTE, the state broadcaster, and all the other broadcasters there are lying through their teeth. They're doing exactly the same narrative as are happening here. And these people, like educated scientist type people who are medically qualified and have done the research on immunization, realize this whole thing's a complete farce. The infection rate, once you get this, which you do, you become immune for life. If you test for antibodies, you realize it's all sort of whatever. So anyway, over to you, my darling. I'm not sure if you wanted to talk about the Irish Freedom Party, but I'm amazed that that's actually happening in Ireland. I'm not actually amazed. In here, and of course in England, we'll just comply, do what we're told, and complain about it, but we can't even go in a pub to do that. But the lockdown in Ireland has been extremely serious, and a lot of people are reacting over there. How about you? What do you want to say?
Well, thanks for letting me for inviting me back onto your show. I think the work that you're doing and people like you is critical at this time. It's critical because all the a lot of the social media sites and the video sites like YouTube and like Facebook are highly censored. And a lot of my posts have been removed. I've been blocked. I've been shadow banned.
What do you mean? Who would shadow ban or block you? Come on.
You're very funny, Miles. But you know,
I'm being very serious, giving you
I
loads of hassle there earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, the world has turned overnight into a Nazi regime, so it appears. It slowly crept upon us.
I think they call that the wave. They're going to give us, well, we're going to release things, but not release things, but not release things, but not. We're going to let you out. We're going to furlough you. No. Yes, we know we are. It's called wave. It's a psychology thing.
Yeah.
So in other words, we are never going to get our freedoms back. We're always going to be under the control, and that's it. That's the way it's running.
But we're not. There's two things going on here. Well, there's more than two things going on. You've got the 3D and the Earth-based stuff going on, and then you've got the higher dimensions or the higher level, the spiritual stuff that's going on the higher dimension. So you've got two things going on there within that. And within that frame, you've got so much going on. It's universal. This what's going on Earth at the moment, what's happening on Earth at the moment is affecting the whole universe, because the outcome will also affect the whole universe. This is far-reaching implications. What happens on Earth is not contained to Earth. We are in a multi-dimensional universe, and what happens on Earth and what happens on other star systems and other planets and other galaxies also affects us, and likewise. But I want to get back down to Earth, because sometimes I do tend to just go into the multidimensional and connect to the.
Are you talking about get sensible and compliant? Are you talking about being compliant? Are you talking about getting down to earth, being serious and being sensible and compliant?
I'm never compliant.
Ooh. Okay, you're in full flow there. Okay.
Yeah. We need to be love and light. We need to stand up and use our voices. We need to come out of our spiritual caves and stop meditating and be love in action with a voice. We need to stand up. We need to protest. We need to use our voices. We need to reach people like lawyers and doctors and politicians and solicitors and police and nurses, professionals, professors, scientists. We need to reach those people.
Well, they are in Ireland. In Ireland, they are speaking out.
Let me finish, darling, please, because we need to reach those peoples now. Those people are in our families, they're in our societies, they're in our communities. We need to reach those people's hearts and get them on our sides, get them. It's not even about taking sides, it's about seeing the truth of what's going on, of reality, because this stuff is reality, and it will affect us and whether we continue on Earth or not. And this is the future of our children and humanity's future. We're either going to go one way or the other. I do believe we've already won, and that this is the last battle between the positive and the negative, or the light and the dark.
Carol, I've got to stop you there. What do you mean? And I hear this again and again. I do believe we have won. We've won this terrible battle. Right. Well, I don't see any evidence of that. We're being locked down. We're having all our rights taken off us. All over the world, the same law is being passed that if you have this virus, which everybody does, most of us have got it, we've had it, we've immunized it like a normal flu. That's what the professors and doctors and scientists are saying. The Imperial College paper, which was published by Imperial College, has been absolutely trashed. It's a piece of scrap paper. It's not been peer reviewed. Scientists have been looking at this rag of rubbish that Boris Johnson, the Conservative Party, and this country has used to shut us down. The lockdowns have been shown to be absolutely counterproductive, producing many, many more deaths. The care homes all across the place, it's common all over the world, as far as we know, where non-resuscitation orders are used, get rid of the old as fast as possible. It's a genocide against the elderly, and all they're going to do is drop the age down. So they've hit the over 70s, they're going to hit the over 60s, and the next to the 50s, and get rid of the top end of the population, wipe us all out, and the rest of us are going to be compliant to it's a horrendous thing I heard. It's a DARPA, that's a Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, have produced a gel which you put on the front of your head, or is put on the front of your head, and these Pichot bots migrate into you like in the Borg and take you over. That's what they're going to do to us. That's the scale of the genocidal, fanatical control we're dealing with the situation. And I do not believe when you say we're winning, I don't see any evidence of that. I don't see any evidence of these babies and all these sorts of children coming out of underground tunnels. It's a load of flannel. This is just a way of getting us to think that, oh, it's okay, there's some good guys somewhere and we're going to win. Oh, it's all fine. In other words, we do damn all. So the first evidence that I've seen today is the creation of the Irish Freedom Party, and they've got my vote. And when I tried to even just say hi and register a membership of it just to see what they're doing, because I don't know what they're doing. I have no idea what they're actually standing for, but except it's in the name. And I just wanted to figure out, just wanted to say hi, hit subscribe, see what they're doing. I got a reply email. It came up on my browser saying email. You could see that little link saying email available. So when I actually went to click on it, I was cut off from the Yahoo server. And when I got back onto the Yahoo server, that email was gone.
Now, isn't that interesting? You know, we're living in a Nazi world regime. And
well, we always have. The United Nations was set up. Third Reich, Fourth Reich.
But it's becoming so much more obvious now, even to people that are asleep and not awake yet, normal people.
Normies. They're called normies.
Normies, yeah.
Oh, you're a normie.
But, you know,
you got to tease them. Oh, you're a normie. You're one of them. They don't like it.
No. So I really want to get down to business here. I want to get all this high level, multidimensional Pleiadian energy that I've been channeling for years and get it grounded and let it come forth. And you know, we do need to be, we absolutely, Mars, we need to be love and light. Well, we need to gather together and we need to bring it.
Now, what do you mean by love and light? This airy, fairy love and light. And we had a conversation on the phone about this. I'm not going to let you get it, but I'm going to be Mr. Nasty. I'm going to be Mr. Nasty. Hostile interviewing
Love
technique.
is an
What do you
energy.
mean? Oh,
Love is a
love and
frequency.
light. Oh, everything's going to be wonderful. Love and light. Don't do anything.
If I didn't love you so much, Miles,
I'm giving
love,
you a hard time. I'm being Mr. Nasty today.
that's okay, darling. I can front it. So love is an energy. Love is a frequency. Love is a science that is measurable. You can measure frequencies like love, like hate, like fear, like jealousy. You can measure all emotions, because emotions are frequencies, are energy, are vibration, so you can measure them. So anyone listening doesn't understand what I'm talking about, or love and light, go away and research it. Don't believe what I'm saying. Go away and research this stuff, because it's science. I'm not airy fairy. I'm not away with the fairies. I'm not
You're away with the fairies. Does that mean if you're not airy fairy, are you lovey dovey?
Well, I'm both of those things, but I'm absolutely for science, because this stuff comes down to science. Comes down, the psychic abilities come down to DMT that's released in the brain.
Yeah, but hold on, Carol. I know a mate. He's called Bill, and he can give you a big fat check. All you got to do is just do what he says, and you're going to be hot to go.
No.
Big fat
No.
check from Mr. Bill, or the wife Linda, or whatever her bloody name is. Nice big fat check.
No.
That'll make you nice and compliant. Take the money. We'll give you the money.
We're not here for the money, Miles.
Well, Bill
We're not here
says
for
Bill
the
says
money.
that, and then he'll give you his virus or his vaccine.
Yeah.
Take the money.
Well, that says a lot. But I want to get down to the nitty gritty, Miles. I want to get people. I would love to see people gathering in UK, in Ireland, throughout the world, and a lot of the countries have been doing that. But we need to find our voices. We need to stand up. We need to protest. We need to tear down those goddamn things. Now I know that you
can't
disagree
start
with me.
instigating breaches of the law, Carol.
No, okay. Let's stop.
We've got to
there, 'cause I wanna
comply.
get to this.
We have to
Yes,
comply.
let's comply, and let's leave those things alone. Let's leave those things outside our houses where they're frying our brains and frying our children who are sleeping next to them. And let's leave them there, and let's comply, and let's be docile, and let's not go and do anything. Let's go back to a Nazi regime where we are murdered en masse, because that's what's happening. That's absolutely what's happening, and I'm sickened. I'm so, excuse my French, I'm so fucking sick and tired of what's happening.
Really? Now, we actually, on that subject, I'm going to play a clip from my friend Jane, and she was standing beside she was standing, oh, come on, be quiet, Jane. She was standing beside a cell phone tower, a 5G tower being installed today. I'm not entirely sure where it was. I think, it's somewhere in the south of England, not too far from Farnborough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play this. And there's Jane, and I'll swap this over to there, and we'll see what she has to say. And I'll have to make sure I get the speaker there. Okay.
And Camberley, and they're digging up the entire high street. And I had to stand by the 5G mosque outside Barclays Bank for about half an hour waiting to get in. And now, about 40 minutes after, I've got a sore throat, pins and needles in my face, top of my head, and ringing in my ears. Is that good? Can't be. I think this is really terrible. We should all know about it. Okay. Bye.
Well, that's personal experience this afternoon in Camberley.
These things are designed to if they're not designed to dumb us down and turn us into robots, then they're designed to kill us and fry us and cause cancer and cause things that are making profits for the pharmaceutical companies. We need to stop sitting down on our houses and watching TV and being on Facebook. We need to get out there.
Well,
excuse my French.
I have a political slogan here. There's my political slogan: turn off your TV and think.
Yeah, and the BS is that we're paying for these TVs. We're being charged to be programmed. It's ridiculous what's going on.
Why not charge you, kill you, and make lots of money out of it?
Well,
Like the
is that,
concentration camp guards, they have better privileges. Their credit rating is better than yours. They get more privileges than you do.
yeah, and I watched two videos this morning, Miles, on Facebook. One was both of them were about police. One was in Italy, where a guy who'd been protesting in his car with a loudspeaker in Italy. These are both these. I've put them on my Facebook group, which is Awakening 2020. So if anyone wants to join that and have a look at the videos, one of them is an Italian guy in his car with a loudspeaker. And I don't know what he's saying because he's talking Italian, but he's protesting. He's saying that the masks are not good, and he's talking about COVID-19 and the vaccines and the 5G and all kinds of things. So, which is all related. And then you see him later, and then it goes forward in the clip, and then you see that he's out of the car, and the car's next to him, and he's surrounded by police. And this is one guy, and he's not very big. He's a little Italian guy in his 30s or something, and he's surrounded by police. And then you've got these two medical professions or doctors in white suits that are standing around him. And one of them comes up behind him and injects him with something. And then
they did that here in Devizes.
You see him, did that?
So, and the law is there to do it, and then everything that person owns will be destroyed and seized, and that will be a non-person.
But we're letting this happen, Miles. And also the
law for that was only passed in California, I think, a couple of days ago.
The law
for doing that, it's the same law, the same law which I call the Terminator law.
But what are we doing?
Yeah, well, it's happening everywhere. Losing our rights. Our politicians are doing that to us.
We need to stop. We just need to stop and breathe for a second or two. And then we need to go out and we need to get in the streets, get protesting, get together and do this en masse. Because if that Italian guy had been with a group of people of 20 or more, or even 3 or 5 people or some people, they would have helped him. Because en masse we are united and powerful. The cabal and the negative agendas are working on the law of divide and conquer. That's what they're working on.
I think it's called comply and conquer.
Well,
comply.
Yeah, when we need to stop doing that. And the other video I saw this morning, Miles, was a Germany, and there was this guy in the supermarket, and he wasn't wearing a mask, and there was 2 policemen there. One of the policemen ended up beating him. And you could see that you couldn't see the blood coming from his nose. I'm assuming it was from his nose, but you could see it on the floor, on the tiles of the supermarket. And so, if this continues, we're going to see a mass uprising. And I think that's the way we need to go, actually, because if we don't go towards civil war and civil unrest and mass protesting.
Well, okay, you've been talking a lot of violent stuff there. I think the simplest thing to do is using our higher spirituality to unhappen Bill Gates and all the governments doing this to us. We simply use our collective consciousness, and they dissolve away out of existence in any domain.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you could take the word love and replace it with consciousness or action, that's what I'm talking about. We need to combine those two things. We need to combine love and consciousness and being awake, and bring it forward with the legal battle, with the authoritarian battle, with the battle on where authority reigns over us. We need to bring it to those people, and not just those people in suits. We need to bring it to those people at their homes and at their kids' schools. We need to bring it to the family man behind the suits. So not just bring it to the policeman in the police uniform, but bring it to his house. Bring it to his kids, because we need to make them accountable. They are accountable for their actions. I'm livid. I'm disgusted. I'm enraged. I'm not in fear. I'm not in fear, and I will not comply. I absolutely do not consent to what's going on. So those are some of the things I wanted to raise.
Okay. We've had a little rant here. We've had a little.
But it's not about ranting.
We've had a little boil off. We've had a little boil off. We've thrown our toys out of the pram, and you have your compliant mug. I don't have mine. but you have your compliant mug. Calming down now. What exactly are you mad about? And secondly, how do you think that ordinary everyday people, I mean, forget about the awake people, but what about everyday people who are now going to be unemployed? We're going to the biggest recession, bigger than anything else we've had, and then we'll have millions, maybe, I think they're talking about at least 4 million unemployed in the UK. And I saw somebody today screaming, "Oh, get the government credit, get the government credit." So you're then paid by the government. They then say, "Right, we're paying you, therefore you do what we tell you," because that's what unemployment benefit is. It's not what do you call it, unemployment supplement or whatever it is. Once you take that, you've got a contract with them. They pay you, and they're going to tell you what to do, like any boss will tell you what to do. So before we're all thrown out of work, no jobs, small businesses wiped out. You can't fly anywhere. Well, provided you stay, for 2 weeks before you go and 2 weeks anywhere afterwards. And then when you land, you'll be for 2 weeks. So you have to be 2 weeks in isolation before you fly. And then as soon as you fly, you have to be 2 weeks for isolation in that country. And then all in all, just to fly over and say hi and come back, you're going to spend 2 months in isolation. So basically, nobody's going to fly unless you have sufficient credits from your compliance app that the Chinese are using. We're all adopting the Chinese empire here.
Well, here's what I think, Miles. I think that we need to hold these people accountable for the human atrocities and human rights that they are atrocities.
Well,
and
who is going to hold them to account? Because the whole point about this, Carol, is that they don't give a damn about our rights, our constitution. Any of the rights that we've had are now gone with this law, based on completely fake science sponsored by Bill Gates. Now, there has been a newspaper article in Holland about it. Somebody's written an article on a main newspaper. They're questioning Bill Gates. India wants to arrest him. What is our government doing? Our government is bought by Bill Gates. The advisors are bought by Bill Gates. They've used the most incompetent, wrong on every single other time he's done anything, and paid by the government and Imperial College, I understand. And Imperial College, who published this paper, which is instrumental to the government's lockdown policy, is a non-peer-reviewed piece of crap. It's got no scientific base whatsoever. It's been ripped to shreds by scientists. But you won't hear that because our media will not let them on the air to say it in the first place. So Ofcom compliant, Ofcom are to blame, BBC to blame, our scientists who are speaking with a big bung. So where's the solution there? We have no way of fighting back except to comply.
We've been taught to be dumbed down. We've been controlled. We've been manipulated to believe we are powerless when the very opposite is true. If you've got a situation in the street, like I've been seeing and saying about the videos that I've been seeing with police brutality.
In other words, smash the living daylights out of somebody if you're not wearing a mask, and make sure, and then remove them and kill them.
But here's the thing. If you're standing there and you're watching this, or you're witnessing it, or you're recording it on your phone, or you're in the vicinity and you can see this is going on, step in. But
you're not allowed to. They've brought laws out. You can't record it on your phone. You will not be compliant.
All these people witnessing these events, they need to come out of their houses and get involved.
That would not be compliant.
And stop the police. But okay, so you've got one guy and you've got two policemen, and then you've got 100 people watching. Those 100 people watching need to get in on the action and stop the two police guys from beating this guy to a pulp. The power of the 100 is more powerful, obviously more powerful than the two police guys. So people get involved. Stop witnessing and acquiescing acquiescing, to and witnessing things and observing. We need to take action. We need to be love in action. We need to stand up like never before. We need to come together like never before and stop sitting on the goddamn fucking fence. I'm livid. I'm using language that I would never use.
No, really, we are live here, and we are before the 9 o'clock schedule. This is not the kind of language that we are allowed to have on the air here. This is not good, Carol. We're live. Yes, we're live. Broadcasting live. I don't know how long for. But we cannot have that. We can't have that kind of language on the air, Carol. People can die, and we'll all be made compliant with the DARPA gel in our forehead, which absorbs into our brain tissue and makes us compliant. We can all get the chip from Mr. Bill Gates, but we cannot swear at this time of the day. Now, you must stop this kind of language. That doesn't mean you shut up.
Okay, so here's the thing. I woke up many years ago, and I know that sounds a bit arrogant, but I did. And I feel very sorry for the people that are waking up now, because I've had 20, 30, 40 years even to process this stuff and catch up with what's really going on with what's really going on. So I've had my veil lifted from my eyes long ago. I feel very sorry for the people on earth now that are waking up, because they've got to do it now and they've got 5 minutes to do it. I would have struggled had I had to wake up now with 5 minutes to do it, because there's horrendous atrocities going on in front of our eyes and next door with our neighbours and next door in our schools and next door in our supermarkets and next door in the abattoirs or the horrendous stuff going on earth. And we need to stop turning a blind eye to it. We need to not focus on it. We need to shift our focus and create new systems on earth now. I don't recommend that you send your kids back to school, because you are sending them back to a school that is governed and ruled and created by cabal and negative ET agenda. Those two things
now,
for me.
How do you know that? That's a hell of a thing to say. The kids need to get programmed. Go to school program. And to be honest, they're better off at school than they are at home, and it gives the parents some choice.
They're not, Miles. They're not. They're better off in the gardens. They're better off in the forest. They're better off in the parks. They're better off out swimming in the sea or on the beach or in nature.
You get arrested if you do that.
Well,
you get arrested. You get arrested if you bring more than one child with you to the supermarket. You get arrested.
Then go out in groups.
You get arrested if you do that.
Groups of 20 or 30.
You get arrested if you do that.
We need to take our power back, Miles. Stop the bullshit.
You get arrested if you do that.
Stop it. No, I will not consent. I do not consent. I do not consent. I do not consent. We need to get it in our minds that we are more powerful than they are. These are manipulative bastards that are controlling us.
Don't wiggle your fingers too much. Bit rate's dropping. No, but Carol, isn't this the whole point? As you've said, we are more powerful. They're using us. They want to use our consciousness, our metaphasic ability to generate existence. Isn't that really what it's all about?
Yeah, they want to control. Well, they already do control us and dumb us down and manipulate us and
easy
slave
for you
us.
to say.
We've been slaved long enough. Sorry, love.
Easy for you to say.
Well, it is easy for me to say, yeah, because it's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, people wake up. You know, the conspiracy theory should be replaced with the word truth serum, because it was made up by I think it was the CIA or the FBI or one of them anyway, back in the 60s or 70s or whenever it was, to view it as a negative thing and a fake thing and a nonsense thing, when actually it's steeped in truth. There's no such thing as conspiracy. There's just truth and non-truth, truth and fiction, fact and fiction.
Well, there are people who conspire to, for instance, overtake human freedom, poison them, and kill us, and make us compliant. That's a conspiracy to pervert our rights and justice.
That's truth. That's truth. That's truth. That is happening. They've said it themselves. They've said it themselves.
Who said it?
Bill Gates and Fauci and the rest of the...
They said that?
Yeah, they've said that. They've
did?
shown us what they're doing. They've shown us what they're doing.
Yeah, but you've been listening to one of those silly people like David Icke or this other guy who was thrown off, the shouter guy. What's his name? Oh, yeah, what's his name? He's still around on his own network. That's it. They got thrown off YouTube, but he's more powerful now because he's been thrown out from the compliant networks.
Who's that? London
Oh,
Real?
what's his? Alex Jones.
Okay.
And there's
right.
London Real.
The people I'm really following at the moment is Sasha Stone, Laura Eisenhower, David Wilcox, David Icke. So there's only really a handful that I'm kind of watching at the moment.
London Real? London Real?
Not really.
No?
No, not really.
Why not?
Well,
he's been banned. Ofcom has banned him. You're not allowed to say anything that isn't obedient from the fascio. I mean, or whatever it is.
I think Brian has probably done some very good work with interviews like David Icke and everything, but he does seem to come across to me as being quite money orientated. And he's got.
Well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with being a businessman? If you can raise $800,000 to keep an independent network going, isn't that not a good thing? Because we need hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, to establish our own networks, which aren't hamstrung to Bill Gates and Google.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Miles. I'm not always right. I'm not always wrong either. But. Yeah, to me, he comes across as being money orientated, and maybe that's just his.
Well, this is the trouble about the truth movement: is you've got to be stone broke, no money, lying on the street, starving, before anybody will say, "Oh, that's okay." And look what happens. We had Edge TV, we had the alternative, the controversial television, on the air on a satellite channel, 7 days a week. Nobody would support it. Nobody paid them any money, and we lost it. So how do you expect these things to happen? It's just going to be airy-fairy, or maybe the only way they can happen is they get a big fat bung from Bill Gates and they do what he says.
Here's what we critically need to do. I mean, we're standing on the precipice of time and reality on Earth that's never happened before, ever. And it's never going to happen again. This is the deciding factor. This is probably
what makes you
the
think
last
that?
battle. Question mark.
What
because
makes you
I've been
think
told by the Pleiadians.
What have you been told by the Pleiadians? Tell us. I'm not going to say anything for 5 minutes because I'm going to get a coffee. I'm going to listen to every word you're saying. You've got your mug. I'm going to get my mug. Your time is to speak now about what the Pleiadians have told you.
Okay. What they've told me is that this is a mass awakening. We are on the precipice of a new dawn, a new reality, and everything is shifting. And the Earth will shift, from the polars will shift. This is very related to Atlantis and what happened at the time of Atlantis. So there's almost two realities going on here. You've got the higher dimensions on the multidimensionals, the higher stuff, the spiritual stuff, and then you've got the physical stuff, which is the 3D and Earth-based, and things that are playing out en masse now around the world. So I'm going to just talk through the higher stuff that I've been shown through first. So this is a parallel time frame, or very similar to what happened at Atlantis and the downfall of Atlantis, when there was a large meteor that hit the Earth and knocked the Earth off its axis. So north became south and south became north, and the land shifted, causing and the meteor caused large catastrophic events on Earth. So night became day and day became night, and everything shifted off its axis. And then you had negative, and just after or at the same time, you had negative ET energy that came in and overtook Atlanteans, changed their DNA and dumbed them down because they wanted to enslave them and have them as worker bees, for want of a better word. So they enslaved them, they changed their DNA, they dumbed them down, they got them to work for them, enslaving them, manipulating them, dumbing them down. And then So what's happening now is on an energetic level, I want to point that out, on an energetic level, that everything is shifting back. Everything is shifting back. And at the same time, we are shifting, we are changing, we are evolving. I'll go into that in a second. But so the Earth is going back onto its natural axis. We are going back to our original blueprint. The Earth is going back to its original blueprint at the dawn of Atlantis. So everything is changing, and I have been shown that Atlantis will rise again. Atlantis will rise again. Now I've been shown that. I'm not sure if it's energetically or if it's actually a physical thing. I'm led to believe it's probably a physical thing. What they've shown me recently is that our DNA, they told me about 13 DNA strands. And what they mean by that is that we either had originally 13 DNA strands, not 12, or in the past that we originally had 13 strands, not 12, or we're going into a time frame now where we will have 13 strands of DNA, not 12. So it's either we had it in the past or we're going into it in the future. But everything is connected to what happened at the downfall of Atlantis, which was instigated, which was manipulated, which was created. And the very opposite is, it's like the Atlanteans had a wave of consciousness that overtook them and kept them down, like you're squeezing, and now they can no longer squeeze. So everything is raising to the surface. The Atlantean energy is raising again, and more than that. So our DNA is changing. Our DNA is going back to its original blueprint, and we are being assisted by positive ET energies and the Pleiadians for just one group of them. But so everything is changing. Our DNA is changing. Our consciousness is changing. So we are waking up. Because here's the difference between us and the downfall of Atlanteans, is that the Atlanteans didn't see it coming. They didn't see the negative energy coming, and we do. And that's the difference. We see it coming, and therefore we have a choice to whether we want to grow and evolve and develop and be the beautiful, magnificent beings we were designed to be and are, or we're going to keep turning our heads and not seeing the reality that we're being shown by people like Miles and myself. Whether you're into UFOs or you're into Pleiadians or whatever you're into, we need to come together and unite. We need to stop being divided, even within the spiritual fields. We need to stop being divided. So the UFO people and the spiritualist people and the Reiki people and the shamans and the Pleiadian people and the channelers and the healers and the blah 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 blah. We need to stop being divided. We're divided even in the spiritual. So in the spiritual field. So we need to come together en masse and get together and raise our vibrations, raise our frequency. It's a war on humanity. It's a war on consciousness. It's a war on human existence, because they do want to, the cabal and the negative agenda do want to turn us into AI and into robotic soldiers. So is that where we want our kids to go? Is that the world we want our kids to be in? Because if we keep acquiescing, I can never say that word, that's going to happen. That's a reality. And this thing is it gets spookier by the day. It gets creepier by the day. When you see things like 66666. I
think there was only 4.
Yeah, I
think so.
Okay.
I think it's only 4.
Yeah. But didn't I say 4 sixes? Anyway, so I mean that's in the Bible, and I'm starting to see the Bible now as a huge book or historical document that is full of predictions and prophets and people that have spoken in the past, and it's been the Bible has been rewritten several times and changed, and words scrubbed out and words added. So So what they told me when I started to channel them is and
I just wanted to check if that would be in focus. It's actually my B&Q card. And my B&Q card, which is diamond, it's got 666 in the middle. Can you believe that? I
Oh,
don't.
yeah,
I
you
don't.
can.
Can you see that? There it
Yeah.
is. B&Q card 666 in the middle. And years ago, Anthony J. Hilda and the other people talked about the barcodes and all that when the barcodes just came out, which was just a sensible way of providing number recognition for warehousing and products, so the computers could read the numbers. There it is, 666 in the middle. Or maybe it's
Well,
just my B&Q
no,
club card. Anyway, you had
no,
your mug. There's mine. Devices
yeah.
SN10, the center of the universe. And continue. Carol Noonan on Bases Live from the bunker. Away you go. Continue.
Thank you, Miles. So, as I was saying, when I first started to channel them in whenever it was, way back, 2009, I think it was, consciously trying to channel the Pleiadians. One of the first things that they told me that to me was really profound is that they said, we are the gods. And the word God in the Bible should be replaced with the word gods. Let me say that again. We are the gods, and the word God in the Bible should be replaced with the word gods. And then things would start to make much more sense. Now, to me, that was one of the most profound things, because I was brought up as a Catholic, not a strict Catholic, but kind of a dancing around the fence Catholic.
Are you talking about a lapsed Catholic, Carol?
Yeah.
Or what we have in Northern Ireland, a palace Catholic? I mean, what type of Catholic is that? I mean, or are you talking about one of those Reformed Catholics?
I'm talking about a Catholic that will. Here's
Karen,
a
you're
good
making
example.
it too easy from here. You've got to make it
Here's a
harder.
good example. Here's a good example. I'm talking about the type of Catholic that will, like popes and nuns, where horrendous stuff is coming to light now. Those are Catholics. So I've got no time for religion. I'm not religious at all. Some of the biggest, worst atrocities in human history have been created by popes and religion and nuns.
Well, that's because Vatican, satanic, demonic.
Yes.
You need to
Yes,
talk to the grid keeper about that kind of stuff.
But we're acquiescing to this. We're allowing this to be. We're allowing it to be because we see them as authority. They do not have authority.
To be fair, recently, and I think today or yesterday, there's a lot of the lower echelons of the church have been saying this is horrendous. You know, to be fair to those in the church who are actually in high positions of power, and they're protesting against this. They're saying this is absolutely horrendous. It's terrible. So give credit where it's due, and that's a big deal if members of the church and clergy can get together and actually tell their people, we are being screwed here. It's horrendous.
But are they really saying that, or is that just to blind us to what's really going on behind the scenes?
Well, I haven't heard what they're saying, but haven't seen the detail. But to be fair, there are members of the Catholic Church who are actually standing up and actually saying against the Pope, the higher level, who are clearly involved with this and always have been. If you do your research, they're actually beginning to tell their flock, because they can't assemble. Churches can't assemble. So they've lost their communicating power. Football stadiums, musicians, everybody can't assemble. And they won't be allowed to assemble. You've got to keep your distancing, even though the science and the doctors and the immunologists are saying we've got immunity once you've had this thing. We're being completely lied to. And it's interesting that RTE and the state media and in the Irish Republic, the independent broadcast stations are fundamentally all owned or influenced by one man, Dennis O'Brien, I gather, and he owns some mobile phone systems as well. So you get one man in charge of the independent and one man in the state here, and then I notice here 3 independent stations in the local area here have all gone bust, or they've stopped broadcasting and been taken over by Heart. You've got one independent music station all over the band here now. So we're losing our independence on all levels. Small businesses going out. Ooh, did I use? How many 6s can I get in there? We
need to create new systems on Earth. We need to create new schools, new everything to
Well, what
replace
type?
the old
Let's stick.
system.
Okay, let's stick with this. Just the
Rudolf
schools.
Steiner.
Let's just
Rudolf
stick.
Steiner.
Yeah. Well, okay. The Steiner schools have been there, and they've been there for quite a while, and they're amazing schools. And I interviewed somebody about that in the States some few years ago. The Rudolf Steiner schools, very advanced. What other schools would you say we would need and should have? Let's look at for solutions. We've had all the fear. We've had our big shout out. Let's spend the next 10 minutes giving solutions to this. Okay? So we've had our big thing, right? All the bad government, all the bad politicians, all the bad media, right? Where do you give solutions in a positive way that's going to get us out of this horrendous nightmare which our governments are bringing us into under the pretext of flawed science, corrupt science, and bought science? Where do we go from here?
Well, there's two things there's more than two things that we need to do, but there's two fundamental things that we need to do. And one is to work on ourselves individually with our own process. And then we also need to unite and work to change systems. So I've got a list here, Miles.
A list?
Of 4 steps.
You have made und list. You have the list. Sorry. It's a bad Peter Sellers impression, that. So you will read und list and comply with the lists that you are going to do.
Okay. So, I've got a 4-step list of things that we need to do.
A goose step list? Is that a goose step list?
A 4-step list of things we need to do within ourselves individually, because we need to work on ourselves individually, consciously, to clear out our crap, clear out our fear, step into our heart space with action, with our voice, so that we can take the next step, which is to unite and gather and work collectively as a group, however small that group is or however big that group is. But the 4-step process is to be love, to step into your heart, to understand and know and feel and experience how powerful we really are coming from our heart center. Step 2 is love in action, is the physical expression of love in action, which includes using our voices and standing up and stepping up and saying, this is not right, this is not okay, and I'm not going to allow it. This is against humanity. Step 3 is take back your power. Take back your power that we've given to governments or teachers or lawyers or solicitors or police or authority at whatever level. And also stop paying taxes, Sasha Stone says. So income tax. So anyway, the 4 steps. Number 3 is take back our power.
That's a magnanimous Babylonian construct, Sasha Stone.
Yeah.
Of the ITNJ and other things.
Yes. And step 4 is we need to step up. We need to be love in action. So we've got all these steps we can take, but we need to integrate them and we need to see them as one action. We need to accumulate them into one action, which is actually just stepping forward and saying, no, stop, we're not going to take this. And when at the same time, we need to take that energy and get in groups, get the backing. One person can change the world. They can, but when you're one person divided by 10,000 or 1,000 or 10, your voice is much stronger. Your energy is much stronger.
How do you propose people do that? How do you see that they're going to get together? Because you get together, you can use the internet, and of course they're monitoring the internet. Everything you do is being monitored by GCHQ, the Vatican, and the aliens, and the AI, and every other bloody damn thing. Where do you see people being able to actually assemble in a way where they can, in a quiet way and
peaceful
way, And just
Yeah.
exercise. Well, we don't have any rights anymore. So I was going to say exercise our right to express views in terms of democracy, but we don't have any of that anymore. All of those rights have been taken away from us now.
But we need to stop. Here's the thing I want to get to, Miles, as well, is we need to stop and realise and understand that we do have the right to go to the park. We do have the right to go shopping. We do have the right to go to the beach. We do
Yeah, but
have
you
the
can't
right
sit on the park bench.
You can if there's 2 police and there's 1,000 people there. You can if there's 2 police and there's 1,000 people there.
And again,
you can if
I'm slagging. This is stuff that has nothing whatever to do with stopping the spread of a virus. Sitting on a park bench and simply relaxing. This is intimidation of the public. But then I'm going to get angry again. We're not going to do that. We're going to offer solutions. Continue in the last 10 minutes.
Okay. So we need to stop believing the bullshit that we're not allowed to go out to the shops or to the doctors even, or to the surgery or wherever, to the park, to the beach. What kind of nonsense is that? Because even within that, we are acquiescing, we are allowing to be controlled and dictated to and manipulated en masse. So if we get together and en masse, we can overthrow these draconian, these laws that we're slaves. We're basically slaves, and we're letting ourselves be enslaved by not going out, by listening to the apparent new laws where we're not allowed to do this or not allowed to do that. Fuck off.
No, really, but you're using that word again. But I understand that in the United Kingdom, Boris has actually issued a statement about we can go to the park now, provided you do this, this, and that.
But there again, who is he to tell me I can do something or I can't do something?
Well, I think he calls himself the Prime Minister. Thinks he runs the country.
He's no authority over me. He's no authority over me. He's no authority over me. He's no authority over me at all. Whether he's good or bad or left or right, whatever, he's got no authority over me. We need to get rid of these negative systems that are run by the cabal and the negative ET energies, the governments, the royal families. Now, I'm not saying all of them are. I'm saying that the most of them are. Or there's a certain majority there that are definitely run by negative energies.
Well, I think Her Majesty the Queen may have something to do about that. And also, I think Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, would somehow feel that they have some kind of authority to do that. But you've got a different view on that. And where do you base that different view? Because, you know, they run around with very nice cars and they've got fancy expense accounts. But to be serious, I mean, they're basing their rule of law on, you know, certain things, acts of parliament and all that sort of stuff. Where do you see that they don't have that authority over you?
I don't consent. I don't give my authority to them. Long ago, I stepped out of that fake system. I don't buy into it. I don't vote. I've never voted. I'm not part of. I don't see myself as being part of that system.
But isn't that the whole point of democracy? The whole point of democracy is that
there's no
you know,
thing as democracy.
yeah. But the whole point of democracy, as we're told, is that we vote and we send our MPs into Parliament and they go and make a decision on our behalf. We've outsourced them to make all these decisions because they're wise and they're great and they've got our vote, and that's what we call parliamentary democracy. So that's the system we've got, although now we've lost all our rights. They've brought in laws which violate the Constitution and everything. They're acting illegally in just about every front based on false science, bought science and corruption. And they're owned by Big Pharma. Why do you still haven't said, why does it not affect you? Why does it not affect you? Why would it not affect others?
Because I don't buy into it.
That's not good enough. I mean, in Northern Ireland, we had this joke. There'd be comedians would say, you know, some member of the so-called terrorist organization would get arrested. They'd be, you know, brought to court, And it'd say, I don't recognize this court. It had a paint job last week. It's had a new one this week. You know, that's a bit of a joke, but okay, you're using this term. You're not recognizing the authority of established government. On what basis? On what basis do you have that emotion, and can you validly express that feeling that you're expressing now?
Because I'm a divine being. I'm God created me in his, or the gods, whatever, because to me they come from the same energy source. I'm created by God. And no man on this earth can tell me that I'm not. No man on this earth can tell me I should be ruled by religion, or that I have to follow this law, or that it's law that they can stick a needle in me. There's no man on this earth that rules me. There's no man on this earth that governs me. I'm a divine being of God. Divine being of God, and I am part of God.
The whole point about what you're saying is, this is very important. Okay, when you go to court, you are a dead soul. Now, I'm not using the correct terms here, but if you express what you've just said, that you are a living man or a living woman, the court has no authority over you. So I understand. So continue.
Well, you know, I am part of God. We are all part of God, and we are here en masse. So there is no man on this earth that can rule me or dictate to me, and tell me what law I must follow or govern, or stick a needle in me and tell me that it's for my.
It'll be a Pichot chip gel on your forehead.
But that is. That's against humanity. That is evil.
That's right.
Is monstrous. That is the devil doing his work.
I wouldn't even bring the devil into this. Now, in the closing, I think the devil wouldn't want to be able to be involved here. This is worse than the devil. Okay. 30 seconds. What's your piece this time?
Thank you, Miles. You know, if anyone wants to come and join the group, which is Awakening 2020 on Facebook, I've got those 2 videos on there of the Italian guy that was injected with something upon being arrested, and also the German guy who was beaten. So those 2 videos on there. We need to get together. We absolutely need to get together, because united we stand.
Writing letters or what?
Forget writing letters. Go and knock on the doors. You know, don't forget writing the letters. Do everything within your power that you can do, and more. Get together, unite, protest, rip the things down, tear them up, burn them down to the ground, whatever it takes.
That's not good to say that, really. But
I don't care, Miles. You know, these things are going to fry our brains. They're going to kill our children. We're not going to have a world if we let the world go.
Well, you heard Jane Shattuck there. She was there, just standing beside one of them, built in Camberley this afternoon, and it was frying her brains, and she could feel it burning her.
Yeah. But God bless her, but she's allowing that to be. You know, she needs to take action. She is.
She recorded that video so others could know.
And now she needs.
And she was standing outside the bank because of the distancing thing. Yeah. Being fried.
God bless her for it, and standing up and having a voice and using her voice. You know, I really admire her for that. But she needs to take the next step and the next step and the next step. Because what if she stays where she is? She's going to stay where she is and stay where she is, and then we allow things to happen in a negative way. So we need to take the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. And I think it would be beautiful to see a worldwide uprising. I think that would be the most beautiful thing, because that is us. That is humanity collectively standing up and saying, this is not right. This is not okay. We are not going to allow this to happen. We are God's children. We are created by source energy, or whatever you want to call it. And we are. We are not going to allow it. We are not going to allow ourselves to be ruled by the minority when we are the majority. And we are here to say, no, enough is enough.
Okay,
Stop.
well, that's it. That's it from Carol. Thank you. This has been a live basis from the bunker. She said her piece. Maybe you want something to say as well. Maybe this is something which we have to do something about in a peaceful and intelligent way by quietly informing our MPs who have been bought by Bill Gates. All the experts, 28 of them, with the Conservative Party bought. They've taken the bung, they've taken the Bill Gates money. That's public record. You can look it up. Alternative View last week had a lot of that information available to you. That's thealternativeview.co.uk conference. A lot of information there. There are people being hounded. The laws are there now. They were just passed in California. I have a friend in Palm Springs, and she thought, oh, don't be so silly. And within days of her saying that, the law was passed in California to take all your rights, inject you in the street or wherever, haul you away, and destroy all of your personal property and your house, everything annihilated, and you dragged off, thrown into a death wagon, and injected with end-of-life chemicals to heal you and make you feel better. Non-resuscitation orders against all elderly people in the care homes. That's what they did. Let them die. By order. Do not resuscitate. Do not send ambulances. So we get the numbers up. That's our caring, lovely people. And there has been a major article in Holland about Bill Gates. Anyway, that's it for today. Until next time. Maybe you want to have your shout out, but let's make it reasonable and let's have a discussion. We can get passionate. Until next time, this is The Basis Project.